My name is Nadia Khalil. Today is a big day because I'm introducing you to something that you probably never heard before. And I was mortified to tell the story. I'm here because of you. I'm here because I promised to do something that will benefit your life. If you ever felt stuck or lonely, or you can't find peace, or we feel anxiety, whatever brought you to this video, you are meant to be here today. There's something that happened to me for you, and I had to learn it, and I had to accept it, I had to own it. It was a hard story for me to tell, and 17 years of preparation brought me to telling you this story in this way today. We're calling it a Masterclass. We're calling it a program, if you continue, of self-love. We're calling it a lot of names, but really, it's you. It's who you are and how you can pull out the best. My job is to bridge people's souls back to them. I had no idea how to do that, but I was told to do it. And because of that, I'm going to pose a challenge to you, a 7-day challenge that I will get to after I tell you the story of why it is my job to let you know that you have not been forgotten, that you are not alone. I didn't start out a public speaker. I don't even look at myself as one. I didn't start out an author. I don't think of myself as an author. I just have something to say, something to tell you that would have mortified me beyond words to ever share when it first happened to me. And it took me years to accept that I can even do what I was asked to do. And that was to bridge people's souls back to them. Let me tell you how I got to you today and why I'm in front of you today and sharing something that sounds so crazy. Yet the truth of it can't be broken. Truth is truth is truth. It's not something you can buy or sell. It's not something you can make up. And it's also not something you can hide. I know you already know that because most of us are here today because we're looking for that truth of ourselves, that truth of each other. We're tired of hearing things that don't work. Before I can go any further, I need to share with you why you are here today. 17 years ago, when I was 40 years old, one of my clients took me out to dinner for my birthday. For me, it was a normal dinner. I was excited to go. She was a little late coming in. I didn't ask her why. She volunteered information that she was at her therapist. I said, okay, what was I going to do about that? And we started having dinner and we're talking and just kind of regular. She's going to be hopefully my client, like where I'm actually producing an income from my account with her. And I'm hopefully going to produce what she wanted because at the time I was a salesperson. That was our talk. We talked about our families, our kids, our lives, whatever it is we were doing. And then we paid our bill. We were going to leave. As we were going to leave, I felt a warm breeze go through my body. I didn't know what it was. It was kind of cool though. And then I immediately could see between myself and the woman that was with me this white cloud, and in it formed a face. Now, you would think like movies, your body would be shaking or something. I'm just sitting there. We paid our bill. I'm in a public place, and I'm thinking, well, I don't drink. What is that? But something deeper was very calm. And in that face, I saw eyes closed, mouth closed, just a flat face with like golden hair and white material going this way. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And then I hear, your job is to bridge people's souls back to them. I'm like, what people? Who? What do you mean bridge their, what does that mean? And I'm like arguing in my head, trying to figure out, one, what it meant, let alone what I was seeing. And then he said, I am Christ. And I thought, Christ? Like Christ? Like, oh my gosh, like Jesus Christ? Like it was just hitting me in the moment, my reactions. But my reaction to hearing it was Christ was so sobering because I'm Muslim. And it happened so easily compared to what I would have thought that would have been, ever. So I thought that he came to the wrong person. Like, what was I going to do with this information? I didn't even understand what it meant. But something happened when I saw him. I, in that moment, knew everything. I knew everything about everything in this world. If there was a physics question, if there was, it just was normal knowledge to know everything. And then as he faded away, all the information that I knew was gone. It was with him. And only certain things I kept. And they were all the things that were pertinent to us. But what showed me in answers to all those questions that I just knew was how much potential we all have. How much we don't know, because the stuff we know, but how much we didn't know yet. How much there is to learn, how the learning is endless. And yet you feel completely normal thinking the learning is endless and there's a lot you don't know. And then when you come back to this world, I was thinking what I did know was all I needed to know for the rest of my life. I thought all I have to do is make money, feed my kids, be happy, go home, watch TV, go out on weekends. You know the score. What I didn't know was that we got lost. We got lost in this busy world of pressure and stress and bills and rushing from place to place and trying to do things in less time than we had to do them in, and trying to pay bills that were more than the money we were making, and we were chasing our lives backwards, what Christ called counterclockwise. And I was told that from the day I saw him, that we will now be going clockwise. The things I saw and heard at that time, I now see in life. But it took 17 years for me to tell you this story. At first I thought, wow, who do I tell? Well, the girl in front of me. I said, can't you see him? He's right here. She's like, no, but you should see your face right now. And I could just imagine what I could have looked like. But seeing Christ wasn't something in my plan. But seeing him, something about it taught me love. Not because he loved me and I was, so good that he came to me, because I wasn't. I was a single mom of 2 kids. I was part of an technically arranged marriage in my culture. My marriage was very hard on me. I didn't feel happy there. I felt like I could never be good enough or ever be loved by anybody because my own husband didn't really feel like he could love me. Because I didn't know at the time he didn't love himself. I was finally happy in my life. Why did this happen to me? And a part of it really upset me that I saw him because my little brain thought, oh my gosh, now I can never get married. Who am I going to tell I saw Christ to? And they're not going to run away from the other side of the table. So I tried to make him go away. There's just bits and pieces about that night that I'll tell you more about. But why did I try to make him go away? And I tried really hard. I tried because I didn't want to not be normal. I didn't want to be different from everybody else, not realizing that we were taught to either be this one person and follow this one template, or we were weird. And to me now, I was weird. I am weird. That night, while I was still sitting at the table, the owner of the restaurant, which was a brand new restaurant, which was why we tried it, why we went. It was like we always wanted the latest and the greatest. And there we are. Just beelines to me and asks me, after our check was paid, like we were ready to go, and said, can I offer you a glass of wine? I looked at him and I was going to say, no, thank you, I don't drink. And sure enough, Christ comes back and says, accept it, for it's given to you with love and purity. When he said that, I turned around and said, okay. And he went and got me a glass of what was like port wine in this little cup, and I started to drink from it. And it was really sweet, and I enjoyed it. And he looked at the girl that was with me and said, I am so sorry I didn't even see you. Would you like something to drink? And she said, yeah, I'd like some champagne. And so she got some champagne, and while we were sitting there drinking, Christ started talking to her through me. Not like in his voice and I looked possessed or anything. Nah, nothing like that. Very simply, I was repeating what he was saying. And he was talking to her about her relationship with her father. She was one of 8 brothers and sisters. She's Mormon. And she was the one child that didn't stay within the guidelines of being a good Mormon. She was the one on the outside. She was the one that butt heads with her parents. She was the one that did everything just exactly the way they didn't want her to do it. At the same time, she was physically beautiful. She was one of the rose princesses in Pasadena, California of her time. And yet she was the one having all the trouble with her parents, which were alive and well. And Christ addressed that with her and said, the reason your father has such a hard time with you is that you are most like him. And everything that he wished he would have done somehow in his own life and faced and stood up for, you are doing. You are a challenge to be around. The issues that you're having are because you're both alike, not because you're different. She immediately pulled out her checkbook back when there were checkbooks and pulled out a deposit slip back when we had those and started writing what I was saying down, and she wanted to leave me to go call her mother and tell her mother what happened. I was freaked out, and I'm like, you are not going anywhere. Please stay with me at least until they close, because when I go home, I'm going home alone. And what if this happens to me again when I'm alone? It's one thing to be in a restaurant and you're surrounded by people. But how did I know what that was going to be like alone? So she stayed with me until we had to go home. My children were with their dad that night. And I got in my car, and I still don't remember the ride home. And once I got home, I walked in my room and I sat at my desk and I just wanted to write, like, what just happened? I think I only wrote like a paragraph, and it's in my second book, Origins of Truth. So what happened? I couldn't figure it out. So I sat at my desk till about 4:30 in the morning. I didn't know how that girl that was raised in Chicago, that couldn't speak English, that's Arabic, that's Muslim, that was part of a place where I had to do things or I would never be spoken to again by my community, where I lived to standards that were so unrealistic that everyone had to lie about who they were, that I even had to find ways to lie about who I was to myself and deny who I really was, because if I didn't, I would have to pay the price of rejection from the people I loved most. Isn't that why we all do something? We don't want to be rejected. We don't want the people around us to call us weird or names or different or that something's wrong with us or that we're just even not nice. I knew there was something different about me from when I was a child. I knew my life was going to change when I was 40, but I never guessed that. But I want to tell you how close God is to your life. That feeling I had when I saw Christ, I had that feeling when I was 17 years old, when I challenged God in my mind. At first it scared me to ever do so, but I was actually raised without religion for the most part, because my parents came from Palestine because of a war, a political war in their country, to come here to make money to send it back to raise the rest of their families. They met in Chicago, they married in Chicago, and there weren't many Arabic people when I was really young. So I wasn't part of the influence or the culture, just my parents being hard workers and us learning to speak English as we walked into school. So English wasn't even my first language in a country that spoke English. So I was a product of two cultures, even though I was born here. And I kept thinking, how could this happen to her? I was such a wild rat as a kid. That girl? Seeing Christ? What do I do with this? But I always loved the fact that I knew there was something more in life, something bigger than religion, something bigger than us. And bigger than religion turned out to be God, who was part of everybody's religion. It took a while for my brain to be able to deprogram. How could I see Christ and not feel religious at all? Oh, because we created religions and God is love. I asked, but what about hell? I'm so invested in hell. Where did hell go? Oh, there is no hell. What do you mean there is no hell? My whole life was shaped on hell. I was so invested in hell that almost every decision I ended up making in life was whether or not whatever I did was going to put me there. And I don't know if it was my culture or my mom, but her version of hell was you get burned, and when you get used to the heat, you get brand new skin and they burn you again. Imagine. And then I see Christ and he's like, there's no hell. And I'm like, well, what is hell? What is, like, if there is a real hell, what is the worst thing that could happen to us? He said, the worst thing that can happen to you is not to allow yourself to feel love. That will feel like what you think of as hell. But God wants us to learn how to use love and truth and purity in every way we can find. But what happens to us when we get here is we do get injured. Our truth, our love, our purity get pierced by people, by behaviors, by actions, sometimes even unknowingly from the people around us, and it shapes us. It affects our self-love. It affects us making decisions for ourselves and turning ourselves over and letting someone else run our lives. But what happened is we got so far away from ourselves, we've all become very predictable in what we ended up doing because our choices were only a few and we no longer were using our gifts. We stopped seeing exceptional painting. We stopped seeing exceptional movies. We stopped seeing exceptional things where people poured their hearts into something because we were all put in this rat race and we couldn't get out. We didn't realize that time was our greatest asset. We didn't realize that our souls were our greatest assets. Bringing home a weekly paycheck was the most insecure way to live, and we were all, for the most part, living that way. And we just got lost. We weren't bad. Our aggravations, our angers, all didn't get addressed, so now we started faulting and defaulting into these areas where we took medication for depression. And he said, depression is not a destination, it is a threshold. It's something we go through, it's not a permanent condition. He said, depression is when the passion is squashed. That's depression. But when you unsquash your passion, you are no longer depressed. When you don't do what you came here to do, you do feel lost. You don't know what to do. You don't know why you're here. When I started telling people that I saw Christ, every single person I told would tell me not to tell anybody else. They felt that they understood and no one else would understand. I started to buy that maybe this wasn't something that you take on a wide scale and start telling people. I already knew that there was some question to it, and if someone came to me with a story like that, I may have gone, well, what did you see? How did you see him? People did ask me that. But for the most part, people were interested. They wanted to know more, and as much as I knew, I told them. There's so many stories in the stories of how I became the author, how I printed the books. Now I have 3 books. I do a radio show 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for the last 5.5 years. And the same people are listening because there are no 2 days alike. There's something here that allows our souls to activate and remember who we are, that we have a purpose. By now, I have met and helped over tens of thousands of people just by telling them the story, just by reminding them of who they are. I was told that I will never tell anyone anything that they already didn't know, that I am just a reminder. I'm not special. I was told I'm not more special than anyone that I've seen him, that this is my job. I was also told not to stay in one place and try to fix everybody and fix everything because I'm a mom and I want to do that. I have children of my own, but in my brain, I'm a mom to everybody. And I was told to just walk and talk, keep going. Because I am the person that would stop at every port. I no longer feel this like, wow, I don't know if I can deliver. Because every question I ask Christ, I get like this whole experience. And nobody helps me and guides me through it the way you would think. Or when people say to me, you're so lucky, you saw Christ. Now you know everything. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. Maybe we could switch days for just one day. And you can see what it's like to have chatter going on in your head all the time. But I do know one thing that will happen to you through the course, through the self-love program, because I am going to take you and teach you how I was taught. I am now 57 years old. This happened when I was 40. It took a lot of work on my part, a lot of experiences, a lot of tears, a lot of feeling lonely, a lot of feeling alone, a lot of feeling isolated, a lot of feeling weird, to come out standing with the joy and the peace and the honor of other souls that I have now. It is solid because I know why it's there. I know what it was like when it wasn't there. When I hear people talk to me, I see your higher self. I see what you came here to do, and when I hear what your mouth says with what I see over here that you can do, I go, oh, this is what's missing, boom, boom, boom. Because I see it before you open your mouth and explain to me why your life didn't work out. I can see how it can. My love for souls is so intense that while I'm talking to somebody, I literally put myself in them and say, gosh, they're telling me this. This is a part of their life. It's so important to them. And if they hear something that works, it will never leave them. So I want to tell them, I want to tell you everything. Because you're worth everything. Your life is special. The reason we get depressed is when we tell ourselves we're not, because we know we are lying. You know you are lying. Imagine. If you ever say I'm not special, or I'm not worth anything, or I'm here by mistake, or nobody cares about me, you are lying. That's our ego trying to take us away from ourselves, and if we buy into it, good riddance, there we go. We all know that the original us is clean-hearted. The original us, the one that is uninjured, the child before anyone said no to them. The journey that I want to share with you, the journey that I want to take you on, starts with a 7-day challenge. Just because if you were to take the self-love class, it would start in 7 days. But I really want you to do it for the rest of your life, when you can. I want you to take yourself on a walk. Bring your phone, bring a headset. Normally, I used to listen to music. I used to love it. Then I would do some running, some walking, some running, some walking. And I'd always get music with such a great beat that it would force my body to do what it was doing. And I didn't care who saw me. But one day I had a problem. I had an issue. And I decided that I needed to talk, and I didn't want to look weird. So I put my headphones on, and I put the voice memo on my phone. And I started talking. I just started recording, but I figured no one's going to know I'm talking to myself. It'll look like I'm talking on the phone, which technically I am. But I'm recording myself. And I talked my problem through, and I realized I was really mad. Like, I was angry. I was mad at someone for lying to me. And I kept saying, how could he lie to me? I'm his girlfriend. How could he lie to me like that? Like, where in his heart does he choose to have someone in his life and then he lies to them? And then he wouldn't admit it. And I tried to talk about it because I thought, God, that's big of me. I was going to talk about it. And then he denied it, and he turned it on me and turned it into my fault for noticing. And now it became all about me noticing and me judging and me not liking. And the fact that he lied was just totally put under the table. So I'm talking about it. And I'm like, God, this just isn't right. But really what I wanted was to take myself out of the situation because I was sick and tired of the games that anybody plays on anybody. Why would I bring into my life someone who lies? But I didn't know that yet. So I'm mad and I'm talking. I talked for 2.5 miles one way. My walk was 5 miles in the mornings. On the turnaround, I was done. And it felt really good to just dump it out of me. On my way back, I listened to that tape. I still have it till today. I have many more now. But I listened to it, and I heard this woman talk about dating, talk about the lacks of integrity, talk about the effects of a lie, talked about somebody feeling okay to hurt me. And as I listened to that last part, like somebody okay to hurt me, I said, they didn't hurt me, I hurt me. How did I hurt me? Why would I ever even think of that? Because I allowed myself to be with someone that I ultimately knew was going to do that. He already told me he did it in other relationships. I thought I'd be different. I thought I was more special than that to him. And I was really mad that I wasn't. Because of him, instead of demonizing him and hating him, I was able to still love him but leave him for myself. If somebody wasn't going to treat me right and I was going to stay with them, that ultimately was on me. It all goes back to self-accounting, but hearing the voice of this woman, it was me, but it stopped being me. It became this woman who was complaining about her situation in life. And I was sad, and I was emotional, and I was angry, and I was like feeling this helpless feeling, like people feel like they have the right to do this. Without ever once thinking that that woman, that soul, that special person to God didn't feel worth enough to just say no. I will not accept that, period. We've talked about it. The result of the conversation only made it worse. Listening to ourselves teaches us more about us than anyone else can tell us. I can only guide you to finding the original you, that person in there that you already know you are, but you just haven't seen them in years. I know how to reintroduce you to yourself, because Christ taught me how to introduce me to myself when I thought I was doing fine when I saw him. But fine meant to me when I was 40 that everybody else was happy with me, and so that I could sleep happy, that I did not disappoint anyone. I was like a fireman. I just put out everybody else's fires and didn't even create any for myself, because then I didn't have the energy to take care of myself and them, and I had made a choice that I'm happier if everyone else is happy with me. But as I did that, I did get lost, just like having to bridge my soul back to me. And Christ helped me do that one experience at a time, and that takes a lot of time to do. Any excuse we have, any sadness we feel, I had to learn inside out, backwards and forwards, to the level of truth that exists in it, so when something isn't true, I can see that. Your soul, in the next 8 weeks, if you choose to take that dive into who you are, will be something that you can be proud of in your heart, just for challenging it. Because what happens is our instinct, our soul, tells us a lot of things. And we argue with ourselves and talk ourselves out of it because we want something else. And the thing we want, we don't even know why we want it. But we're willing to risk everything for it, which is a sure sign that we're not looking at the good and the bad and the ugly of it. But our souls go deep. Our soul knows everything we've ever done, even the stuff we don't remember. And all the decisions that come to us through instinct comes to us through that knowledge that lives in our souls. There is a way to live with joy. There is a way to live with peace and to accept it and not have happiness guilt because you finally figured out all the stuff you couldn't figure out. Take the 7-day challenge. Talk to yourself 7 days in a row. It doesn't have to be 2.5 miles one way. It can only be 10 minutes. But the more important part of your conversations with yourself is you listening to that soul speak and see what's important to it and what isn't, and why you are where you're at today. Take that look, take that journey. Thank you for having the courage to sit through and listen to this masterclass, this story that sounds so crazy that it's true. This person who at this point in life can feel like she's living here for free because every day is a new day. Every day is a day I look forward to. I don't just live through it, I live in it. There's a huge difference in the energy we surround ourselves with, the people we attract, the things we do, the way we dress, the way we feel, taking care of ourselves. Because this is our story. We're here. And help was on the way, and God was watching, and God was listening, and He has responded. And how does that benefit and belong to you too? So I invite you to take the 7-day challenge. We will have, for everyone who signed up on this masterclass, we will have a closed group Facebook page. Please write me and tell me, what was it like the first day that you spoke to yourself and that you listened? And the second day, and then by the 7th day when you really got good at it. How did it change how you view yourself? How did it feel to hear your voice, the intonations in your voice, the way you described your life? Something that makes you mad, something that makes you happy. How do you sound? How do you feel? What do you say about it? I want to hear it. I want to know it. I want to be part of it. I pray that you get the joy and the warmth and the growth that you're looking for. I will be there. I will listen to you, and I hope to see you in the self-love program.